People Station V103. It's another exclusive. We got Mrs. Shardé Simpson in the building.
Hello, hello. So excited to be here.
And it's Shardé Simpson White.
It's Shardé Simpson White. I just got married in April.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, you are an entertainment attorney extraordinaire.
Oh, that's sweet. Yes, but I am an entertainment attorney, yes.
So you were like the first, legal affairs person at Roc Nation?
So actually, I was the first employee at Roc Nation. So I started out at Roc Nation in 2008. I graduated college a year early. I went to Columbia for undergrad, and I became close with them because I was a strategic marketing intern at Def Jam. And Tyron Smith, who's a business partner of Jay's, one of the owners of Roc Nation, basically offered me my first job in the music industry. So I started out as his executive assistant. And when I started, there were about 6 employees. I was one of the few assistants, and then there were the owners.
Wow. And Dream Chasers.
Yes, and Dream Chasers. So
Meek Mill.
Yes, Meek Mill. That came later, many years later, I think almost a decade later. So 2008 started out as an executive assistant, worked my way up from A&R admin to the business and legal affairs department, went to law school at night, Fordham Law School at night, and worked full-time at Roc Nation during the day. And then I went and worked at a law firm for about a year, and then I was recruited to come and help Meek kickstart his company, which was Dream Chasers, and I started as vice president of operations. And while I was there, kind of helped him get it off the ground, do the same kind of stuff we were doing at Roc, help him formulate his company.
Talk to me about the new law firm and the whole new project.
Yeah, so the new law firm is the Simpson Group. I launched this year, actually, and I have, I'd say, about 30 clients. It's a small staff. I did it because I had been in the entertainment industry or the music industry for a really long time and saw all different sides of it, and it felt like it was the right time. So I represent producers, songwriters, creatives, record labels, and my specialty has now become the person that you go to for starting up labels, so to speak. And Meek is a client of mine, obviously.
Now, being in big rooms when these deals are being done, what are some of the things that you see artists or producers or creatives, some of the mistakes that they may make?
Not to sound lawyerly or to say this because I'm a lawyer, but I think the first thing you should get in the entertainment industry, no matter what, is a lawyer. Manager and lawyers are the top 2 things I would say that you need, no matter what stage you're at in your career. And even if you can't afford, a lawyer, I'd say even asking for an initial free consultation, something like that, and especially someone that's tailored to the music industry because it's so niche.
Because we hear these crazy stories.
Yeah, crazy
made this
stories.
Record. It went platinum, it went double platinum, went triple platinum, went diamond, and I'm not making no money. I'm getting all these streams. I'm seeing all these sales and everything going on with my project, and I'm not seeing the money.
I think the biggest thing is if you don't understand what your deal is, then when it comes back and you're not seeing revenue streams, it's because you just didn't understand what was happening. A lot of these deals, artists are taking these massive advances and don't understand that they're not receiving royalties until they've recouped or made the money back from those advances. So the biggest thing I could say is understand that an advance is a prepayment of royalties. It means that you are going to be prepaid for the money that for the royalties that you were to make. So I don't think that concept is expressed enough from an advance.
Now break down how those royalties or those advances against your royalties are recouped, because some people think it's just like a big pie and the label gets their money back and then you get your cut. Your recruitment is actually based off of your percentage of the deal. Right.
That's spot on. So the truth is every deal is different, right? Everything is negotiable. It depends on if you're in a label deal or if you're in a distribution deal. But I think the key thing to understand is, yes, if you have been given an advance, the label will that advances the prepayment of royalties, but the label will continue to collect whatever their share of royalties is, and whatever's owed to you will keep going to fill up that hole that you've pretty much made. And so I think a lot of creatives get upset or artists get upset because they're like, yo, the label is taking all this money, but that's the way the deal was negotiated. And I think if you don't understand that from the onset, that's where the problems come into play. Now, distribution deals are a little better. That's just because it's usually a profit split type of situation. They're still taking their money first, but it's a cleaner cut in terms of understanding that. But every deal is different, so it's nuanced.
So basically what we're saying is, hypothetically speaking, or realistically speaking, if you put a project out, just say you get 10 points, which is 10%. Your project makes $10 million, and you get an advance of $500,000. Your $500,000 is deducted from that 10%, not from the overall pie.
Yes, in the sense that, yeah, your whatever your 10% is, the monies that are coming to you, instead of giving you that 10%, they're taking it and saying, okay, every time a dollar comes in, we're taking that portion
until you recoup
your 500. Now, our side, we're keeping.
Right, but see, some people think because the way money looks, they think it's, I made $10 million, you're going to take your money back off the $10 million, and then that's not how it goes.
No.
Your recoupment is based off of your 10%.
Right, it's based off of whatever.
It's not based off their 90%. So they still take their 90% off the top.
Yeah.
Then they take what you recouped from your 10%, or what you're recouping from your 10%.
It's from your money.
Their 90% is unless you understand the game before you go in and you catch that and you negotiate.
Yes, unless you negotiate it. But the truth is, and that's pretty common, right? Because if you think of a record label, it's, I don't want to say a bank, but it's sort of like a bank, right? The only difference is that if you don't recoup, a bank would come and maybe ask for, they'll call the loan, right? They'll say, everything I gave you, give it to me right now. Or I'm adding interest on it. So with labels, it's
or it goes on your credit report.
Or even worse, it goes on your credit report. Where I feel like with a label situation, the better part, and I think creatives don't understand that, is they're not coming to collect. If you don't recoup, you're just sitting in that hole for a minute, but you might go and do a whole nother deal or a distribution situation and make all different masters, and that just sits over there and the label loses out. So that's the business side of it. That's why the label basically treats the royalty and the recoupment that way. So I get it, right? Like I see both sides of it. I think if you, from a business decision or a business standpoint, if they just kept giving you all their money, then what's the point of them entering into the deal with you? They're giving you a prepayment of royalties, hoping that you will recoup quickly and that you'll be able to, nobody cares when they're making a ton of money, then nobody cares.
And most artists don't realize, I talked about this in an interview a few days ago, most artists don't understand that less than 5 or 10% of artists who get signed to a major label even make it.
Oh, yeah.
They also incur all that debt from those other artists. To say they sign 10 artists and only 2 or 3 you make it, they still have to. They're still responsible. They still take the loss, the L.
Yeah, on everything
else.
All the advances that they've given. And again, if those artists don't do well, they can't come and call it and say, "Yo, I advanced you $250,000. Pay me." They're trying to structure the deals now. I notice where they put in certain clauses, or they ask for. How do I say, like a penalty or an interest, but we strike it, and it just depends on the label. But that's more common than definitely the deals from 5-10 years ago. Definitely not.
Shardé Simpson from the Simpson Group is in the building with me, Greg Street. We're talking about the music business. She's an entertainment attorney with a lot of experience from Rock Nation to Dream Chasers and more. Now, this next question is about when you're doing a deal. And you want to be an extremely large artist. You want to maximize what you do, your creativity.
Okay.
How important is it for artists to understand that owning 100% of your masters and 100% of your publishing, and you're trying to do a deal with somebody, and you want them to advance you money, you want them to promote your product or promote your project, how does artists understand that they're going to have to give up something in order for the label to invest all this money in them if they're not getting any of the profits and make them understand that you don't have to give somebody ownership of your publishing or ownership of your masters to give them a percentage of the money that it makes.
Absolutely. And that is, I'm laughing that you say this because if I could drill anything home, I think that's key. So just because you own 100% of something, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. If you own 100% of $0, it doesn't matter. So you need to look at your deal, whether it's a label deal or a publishing deal, from two different perspectives. The ownership side of it, but then the royalty split side of it, or the money side of it. So those are two different concepts, two different things to think about. Owning is great, but if you want to do a catalog sale, if you want to do you want to bring over your royalties, give them to someone else. What matters more when they're evaluating is how much revenue they can bring in. So if, say, a label owns 100% of your masters, but you have a 50-50 rev split, like meaning that you take 50% of the royalties and the label takes 50% of the royalties, you're not in that bad of a position, because now you can push over whatever royalties you're owed to, that are owed to you, over to a third party if you wanted to, say, do some sort of sale, because now they have something to work with. So I think the biggest thing that I notice is now artists they keep talking about, oh, I don't own any of my masters. Well, if you're not an A-list artist, 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be your reality or your situation, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, what you should negotiate is how much revenue you're taking in, so that when you're in a better position, you can negotiate better, but also if you need to sell it or whatever the case may be, you have ownership interest, or not ownership interest, but a rev share interest that benefits you, that you can port somewhere else or give to someone, like maybe in advance against something else. So,
but just say, hypothetically speaking, I put a record out, it does extremely well, it's independent, I'm making all the streaming money, I'm making all the royalties, I'm getting all the revenue from the project, and I finally understand that this record could be extremely bigger. How do you recommend artists, like a lot of these artists that are going, the records that are taking off on social media, a lot of them never come to radio. They're not maximizing these projects, and because they hear the whole, I own my masters, I own my publishing, I own 100% of everything, a lot of these artists don't understand that a lot of these TikTok records, a lot of these Instagram records can be major hits. They can make millions and millions of dollars. So you have to be smart enough to understand how to go in and make a deal with somebody who could take what you've done on social media and make it extremely big.
Yeah.
You guys have a partnership to understand that both of us are going to eat from what you can take my project and do with it versus what I couldn't do with it. I've taken it as far as I can take it with social media.
Right, I agree. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is that's all negotiable, right? So even if you say it's a 50-50 rev split and you're doing, the label or whomever owns 100% of, say, those masters, I think what you want to have are other rights. You want to have the right to be able to renegotiate at some point in your deal. You want to have the right to be able to sell if you want, or approval rights over things. So I feel like that holds things up as well. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is you can always stop so there's two streams of income and there's two types of ownership that artists should think about when they have a song or a master. It's the master side, which is the recorded side, and it's the composition, which is the underlying rights in that specific song. So that's something to think about. If you're trying to hold up something, maybe you didn't like what your label did. On the publishing side, you're usually a writer if you've contributed to the composition in any way. So I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, just to tell creatives that they can stop things too that they don't like. If they, not to give them, I guess, give them free tips, but if you don't like what maybe the label necessarily did and it's being synced somewhere or something that's tied to the composition and you have rights in the composition, you could hold things up that way too.
Talk to me about the app, the Hello Wilma.
Yeah, so Hello Wilma also launched this year. So for me, access is extremely important. Fortunately enough, the clients that I have at my firm are all clients that can afford to have, legal representation, and they can afford to pay for it, whether it's monthly, weekly, hourly, whatever the case may be. But for me, I wanted to target a demographic that doesn't necessarily have the ability to pay for attorneys just off rip. So the purpose of Wilma, it's named after my grandmother, by the way. She's from Red Hook, Brooklyn, or she was from Red Hook, Brooklyn. She died in 2017. But I was born in Coney Island, born and raised in Coney Island. And she pooled all of her resources to put me or afford me the opportunity to go to the United Nations International School. From kindergarten through 12th grade, I went, and my mom pulled her resources too, and my aunt. But I say all that to say that she always stressed access. She said, if I wasn't afforded the opportunities to go to those schools, then maybe I wouldn't have been able to be in rooms and be able to go as far as I feel like I've been in my life. So I always think about her, and this is a nod to her. But the app itself basically is starting or leading with producer agreements. It's leading with videographer agreements and photographer agreements. You can basically draft them in minutes. And it's for creatives that already know the terms. So maybe their homeboy is somebody that shot a video for them or took some shots for photography, or they're putting up a song on DistroKid or TuneCore, whatever the case may be, and it's getting distributed on Apple iTunes. Before it's put there, I want to stress that you should definitely have agreements in place. Producer agreements are the number one agreements you should have, because if the song blows up, like you said on TikTok, and that producer didn't have anything in place, best believe they're going to come knocking, asking you for double or triple or whatever it was that song made, because you didn't start from the beginning with having agreements in place. So Wilma does that. If you already know, you and your friends have agreements, like a basic understanding, like written down, or maybe not written down, you guys said it, then you want to put it in writing, and Wilma does that. Yeah.
So it's the chat GTP for people in the music industry
Yes.
who are trying to get agreements and understandings on paper that's going to stand up.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've drafted them and I've looked at them, so I've used them, and I know that they're good agreements. So I'd rather you do that than Google on ChatGPT. No shade to ChatGPT, but they don't know the indemnities that need to go into these agreements. Sound exchange LODs, we have all of that in there. Things that are specific to the music industry that I've vetted and looked at to make sure that they make sense. But yeah, in a perfect world, I'd love for Wilma to become the ChatGPT of the music industry.
Explain to new artists and creators also the codes that are necessary to make sure you have up under your business and your EIN number when it comes to tracking your music and understanding where all the money comes from.
Yes, so there's tons of different streams of revenue that you can collect from as an artist or a creative. We talked about master royalties, we talked about publishing royalties. You're also entitled to sound exchange royalties. There's just so many, there's sync licenses that you can be entitled to. So I think you're probably referencing ISRC codes, which you need if you're putting music up on platforms. So you should definitely make sure you're tracking and monitoring that. And then from a purely business standpoint, just a random tip I would give is that you should contract under a corporation if you can, an LLC. I suggest Delaware because they have great liability, they have great protections for businesses, and it gives you like a sort of a veil. They call it piercing the corporate veil, but it gives you a veil that protects you from, how do I say, it gives you a better business protection versus someone being able to come after you as an individual. They'll be able to come after the business if you structure it properly.
And how does an artist who don't know go about getting their codes?
So ISRC codes typically, if you're signed to a label, the label will have it. If you're not signed to a label and you release through TuneCore or DistroKid, they should be the ones that generate the ISRC codes for you, and they should be able to provide it to you.
The Simpson Law Firm, now you're based here in Atlanta.
I am based in Atlanta, but we're a fully remote law firm. So we have a staff of 4. I have an operations person that is here in Atlanta. We're in Midtown. And then I have an associate that's in California. So we have attorneys out there. And then 2 associates that are in New York.
So it's very important for you to understand it's called the music business for a reason.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
business side is really more important than the music side. But you have no business without the music.
Right, they go
So,
hand in hand.
Understand, business is a talent. Business is a talent. Not just making the music, not just making the beats, not just getting on stage. Business is a talent. And Shardé Simpson is here to let you understand the different ways and how important it is for you to be strategic and it's urgent that you take care of your business when you're moving in this space.
Absolutely. And I would say managers are just as important, business managers and just straight managers like that handle your day-to-day operations. Managers also keep ISRC codes. They are the ones that usually track splits for an artist if they want to know their publishing and things like that. They'll help you register with ASCAP and BMI. They're typically the ones to do that. So understanding your business is key, and having the right team behind you, whether it be a lawyer or whether it be a business manager, is important because that will help you to grow as a business and treating your creative works as business so that you can continue to prosper.
The Simpson Group. Now, how can people tap in and stay in touch with you or reach out?
Yes, so you can follow the firm at TSG Law Firm. You can follow Wilma at Hello Wilma, and I'm just Shardé Simpson, ESQ. Check us out.
But tell them how you spell Shardé. You spell a little different.
Oh, I do spell it differently. So it's SHARDE SIMPSONESQ. That's my handle, but it's Shardé, SHARDE.
Well, thanks for pulling up today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Shardé Simpson, the Simpson Group. Handle your music business.
Please.